Dr. Dom, welcome back to the show. How you doing?
Thanks for having me. Doing great, man.
Of course, brother. Well, my listeners were obsessed with your prior two appearances on the show. You dropped so much wisdom and knowledge, drawing from your background as an oral surgeon, an expert in the oral microbiome, a doctor of naturopathic medicine. And so I wanted to have you back in today to talk about the interconnection between the mouth and the health of the rest of the body. One thing I learned from you that I think is brilliant, I always parrot it, is that the gut begins in the mouth, which I think is so brilliant. So I guess let's start from a high level and then we'll get more granular. But how much can we actually learn about overall health just by looking at the mouth?
Thanks for asking. So the mouth is basically the entrance to the body. The mouth is actually the gut. It's kind of like that tube that starts here and then it ends at the back door. And just by one glance in your mouth, I can see overall decay. You can see tooth decay, bleeding gums, gingivitis, and also previous dental repair. Like lots of things that are happening in there. It's kind of like an ecosystem in your whole body that is very, very diversified.
So it's kind of like you're looking at the dashboard of a car.
Exactly.
When looking into a patient's mouth.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously, in conventional dentistry, the mouth is more like, the teeth are there for biting. It's little teeny tiny organs. They're hard as stone and you can just do whatever with them, but you just basically repair them. If there's a tooth decay or a hole in your tooth, we are skilled to repair, to put a crown on top, a filling, maybe a root canal, or if you have lost a tooth, maybe put a titanium implant. So it's just more a mechanical point of view versus what we do in biological dentistry or biodentistry 3.0 is more like interconnecting the mouth with the overall body. So why do you actually need dental repair? Why is that tooth getting weak? Why do you have a tooth decay? This is all very interesting and it shows me the whole body health, basically. It's
amazing, yeah, because I feel like this is a paradigm shift because most people think of the mouth as simply as a means to an end of how, it's the apparatus that allows you to get food into your belly, right? But
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, when looking at it through this lens of it's actually a dashboard to your health, I mean, that's super exciting.
So yeah, if you also look into how your teeth are connected to your brain. So your teeth are the extension of your brain. They're sitting on brain nerve number 5. That's the trigeminus. That is, we basically have 12 cranial nerves and they start in the brainstem. So if you look at the map, there's 3 branches. This one for your eye, the upper jaw and the lower jaw. And the teeth literally are at the end, so an extension of your brain, kind of like your eyes and your nose. So whatever you do with your teeth, let's say from a mechanical point of view or repair business, will affect anything in your body, especially obviously also your brain. And teeth are not just hard biting instruments. They're literally tiny organs with a blood supply, a lymph supply, an autonomic nervous system. They're alive. And we should take really good care of those.
Yeah, of course. So what would you say are the biggest then red flags when a new patient presents to you, for example? What are the biggest early warning signs that something is awry in the body down below?
I mean, literally anything. Your teeth are naturally hard as stone, kind of like granite. Is this granite or granite?
Granite, yeah.
Granite. So they're super hard. However, in this Western world where we eat all the processed foods, they're getting weaker and weaker and softer. Yeah, soft teeth, softer enamel leads to tooth decay. Basically a hole in your tooth. So tooth decay shows me there's an overall systemic health issue that will end up in tooth decay. So basically the whole body is decaying already. Nutrient deficiency. Usually not a fluoride deficiency.
Not a fluoride deficiency. So do people on Western diets, like the standard American diet, do they actually have softer teeth?
Yes, definitely. So the Western diet, very highly ultra-processed foods will lead to nutrient imbalances and make teeth softer. Tooth sensitivity is a big one, right? Most people are having sensitive teeth, can put an ice cube in between their teeth, just feel it. And again, this is coming from within, from the inside.
If you have sensitive teeth, is that a potential red flag?
It is a red flag already. Also bleeding gum, red flag. Periodontitis, red flag. Anything in your mouth that is not normal is a red flag. It shows overall health issues. It's not just the teeth for biting. Obviously, in conventional dentistry, that's our point of view. That's how we study dentistry in university. Teeth are there for biting. They're hard. They're kind of like not alive, so you can do whatever with them. So if there's a hole in the tooth, we just fill it and then drill it drill it, fill it, and then bill it. But that's obviously not the idea that we have. And like the next level, the future of our profession is obviously melting the high-tech dental work, the repair, but with functional medicine, integrative medicine, and overall health optimization to help the patient overall for systemic health. That is the next level.
Wow. So people, probably not dentists, but like the lay public probably thinks of teeth as simply just like dead stones that are in your mouth.
Exactly.
Conveniently
like hair.
placed so that you can chew.
Exactly. This is also how we're trained in university. You can basically repair that tooth. So conventional dentistry is a little bit outdated. It's just the garage system. Kind of like you bring your car to the garage, it will just be fixed. In this case, fixed for biting. Maybe it also got hijacked a little bit by cosmetics because a lot of people just think, wow, we need white teeth, healthy is white and bleached and nice teeth. But what's underneath sometimes is like freaking you out if you really know what you can see on an X-ray.
Wow. So tooth sensitivity is one potential red flag.
100% a red flag. Your teeth shouldn't be sensitive. I could personally easily hold probably an ice cube for as long as I want in between my teeth. They're not sensitive at all.
And when they are sensitive, what does that tell you?
It usually tells me that there's a nutrient deficiencies and they're not hard enough, so they're not protected from the outside. A little bit too soft, so below the enamel, that's the enamel, the hard part. Below that is called the dentin, and you have tiny tubules, and they are directly connected to the nerves inside, which is like in the root canal, there's the bigger nerve. So, for example, oftentimes you have it at the tooth neck, like where the tooth comes out of your gum, and you scratch it a little bit, you feel sensitive. That's the dentin. That's normal. It's more sensitive. But if you have it already here, it means not protected enough. Tooth is too weak. It's just softer. And this is because of processed foods that are stripped of nutrients, but also oftentimes we have a lot of acidity in our mouth. It's soda drinks. Or also sugar in itself is feeding the wrong bacteria that will then produce acids and kind of like dissolve that tooth enamel. It's called demineralization. So usually in the normal world, or if we would live more ancestrally and eating only real whole foods, the tooth gets protected from within, and then the saliva catches up, buffers the pH, and it's getting hard with all the minerals that is there. But if you have like more demineralization than the other side, which is remineralization, it's getting problematic. It's just getting weak.
Wow. Something
softer.
It's all such incredible information. One of the things that blew my mind wide open the last time you were on the show is that you alluded to the fact that sun avoidance could actually contribute to this pathology in the mouth.
Yeah, exactly. Through sunlight, we get vitamin D3. Usually sunlight gets on our skin, and then from cholesterol, it gets transformed into vitamin D3 in layman's term. And if you have a lack of vitamin D3 in your body, your teeth are actually weaker again. Same for your bones. You need vitamin D3. You need cofactors such as K2, magnesium, zinc, boron, methylated B vitamins, biotin, lots of things to build teeth from within and bones. It's the same structure, basically. It's systemic bone healing or tooth healing. And yeah, we can optimize all this. But that's not something you learn in university, for sure not. That's why I say that's the future of our profession. From the technician to the overall health expert. That's biodentistry 3.0.
Well, I want to learn more about your own journey to arrive at these ideas, which sound revolutionary to me. I mean, I'm an outsider, but on the topic of sensitivity, sometimes in the past, I recall if I've ever consumed something really sugary, like really sweet, it kind of can hurt. It can kind of hit those same nerves that are hit by something really cold. What might be causing that?
It's probably because of the acidity that is associated with it. So if sugar hits your teeth, obviously within a second, like you drink a Coke, you have this little fur in your teeth, and the fur is then attracting, let's say, the more pathogenic bacteria. They're not all bad. It's just in university you learn there are 5 guys that are super bad. So one is Streptococcus mutans, which feeds on, let's say, processed sugar, and then produces acids and then dissolves basically the enamel or makes it prone to demineralization. Just you're losing minerals basically, and it's getting weaker and softer. And also, obviously, we eat softer foods, we're getting softer overall. So that shows it straight away.
So are acidic foods not good from an oral health standpoint, or is it I would imagine it's like context dependent. It depends on the food.
Exactly, depends on the food. It's totally context dependent because there's a few as you know, probably best, like there are very acidic foods that are health foods anyways. However, the saliva is usually our buffer system. And the saliva, if it contains all the nutrients we need, again, from the diet, then it will buffer, and it's kind of like a miracle liquid. It contains peptides, everything, and restores it. So that would be natural food acidity, right? Versus highly ultra-processed food acidity or sipping on sodas all day long. That's completely different. One thing is man-made, and the other thing is like just naturally. And also drinking coffee, drinking OJs. You know, orange juice is a health food in a specific way. It has citric acid, good things. However, if you sip on it all day long, for example, again, you will have more acidity. So the pH in your mouth will drop more often to below 5.5. And this is when demineralization happens. So ideally, you have it buffered to 7, 7.2 all the time. But if this doesn't happen, or if, like I said, acidity overlaps or it's too much, then it changes. And then you just lose minerals and you get softer teeth. And they also get, obviously, lose their color. They lose their whitening.
Wow.
So a highly mineralized tooth is actually more white.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So a pH of 7.2, that's slightly alkaline, right?
Yeah, I would say ideally it's normal. Like if you would measure it now, it's probably 7 to 7.2. That's just a normal, our normal pH usually. But for example, for women, the pH changes during the cycle. Like every fluid in the body changes during the cycle, also the mouth. So in whatever specific phase they're in, it might be possible that the pH right now in the mouth is 5.5. So they're highly acidic already just by their cycle. Then adding on top the Coke, the coffee. Coffee is acidic too. So it's just, everything is about balance. So if it gets unbalanced, you get a problem.
Wow.
You see it in your teeth.
You can see it in your teeth. Is there unhealthy and healthy saliva?
Yeah, definitely. So just see it this way. Like you have unhealthy and a healthy body, it comes from the nutrients and what you basically feed your body on a daily basis. The saliva is produced from within. So if you have a lot of stress, for example, that's nothing to do with food, but a lot of stress will lead to dry mouth, less saliva, keeping your teeth more vulnerable, and bacteria will strive more, adhere more to the teeth. And also, obviously, if you have a lack of minerals in your diet, magnesium deficiency, for example, which is quite normal, worse saliva. So it's all about optimizing your overall health, and then your saliva will be optimized too. It's like the same for everything. Same for your teeth. It's just the fascinating approach is that biological dentistry shows that the mouth is actually part of the body, because so far in university, the mouth seems to be something like a garage. You can just put outside, repair it, and then go away. And come again with the next tooth decay and the next hole. So the dental career is based on repairing. There's never a root cause treatment. It's always Band-Aids.
Well, it's always blown my mind that a doctor of dental medicine is distinct, at least in this country, from a doctor of medicine.
The same in Germany. It's the same. We study medicine, right? But we become more specific or specialist for dentistry early on. So in Germany, actually, it's called a tooth doctor. It's called Zahnarzt, means tooth doctor, which makes sense, but we still behave like dentists. Dentists is how our profession started. It was just literally a mechanical job to pull a tooth and maybe fix the hole.
Give haircuts too.
Haircuts?
Didn't dentists also do that back in the day?
So they were called barber surgeons, actually. And I imagine always kind of like the Wild Wild West, where there's like a tiny house where you can get your tooth pulled after like a few shots of whiskey, but also obviously your haircut and all the different things. It's just mechanically. And then I think they try to make a university study out of it, but what we got taught in university is mainly materials, like what material works for which kind of crown or filling. So there's a lot of chemistry that is not really necessary, versus learning something about health. It's kind of like not there. You learn literally like medicine, you learn almost nothing about nutrition. But that would be the idea in the future. Like we don't literally need a dentist. So we learn in university that the dentist is actually the worst enemy for your teeth. As soon as you have that drill work on your teeth, it's called the dental career. You get more tooth decay, you get a new filling, then maybe the tooth dies, you have massive pain, you need a root canal, then at one point the root canal fails, and you get a titanium implant, and that's it. But you never think outside of the box that, why is this even happening? What is with the biochemistry? Why are these teeth getting weaker and weaker and weaker? And the same goes for the oral hygiene strategies, all just band-aids for our, let's say, unnatural lifestyle.
Yeah, it's like surgery or dental procedures beget other dental procedures.
Yeah.
So at what point in your career did you start to think outside the box? Like at what point did these more novel ideas, the role of nutrition in oral dental health, start to emerge for you as being potentially important?
So connecting it all started straight after my examination. But for me personally, I was interested in health optimization ever since I was like 21 years old. So like in the third semester, I was doing everything about nutrition because I had my own health issues back then. So I needed to fix it. So I started with nutrition, started with training, got interested into supplementation, took creatine, glutamine, all these things. While studying dentistry, you also learn about biochemistry, you learn about chemistry, you learn about physics. Like basically all sciences you have to learn. But usually a dentist that just wants to become a dentist just gets the job done and forgets about it. But I was very fascinated because of my health. So I was doing it at the same time. I loved the manual work. It was easy for me. But I never connected it. It was just me doing my own research. There was no health optimization. It was just 20 years ago, early 2000, and I wanted to have my health back. So I was just addicted to this and building muscle, obviously, protein, stuff like that. That's the funny thing. Now they talk about creatine. I'm like, now this is becoming a trend.
Yeah.
I'm like 20 years into taking creatine daily, for example.
Same.
Yeah, same, right? But this is how long it takes. Same for the dentistry. So after university, I wanted to become a surgeon straight away. I don't know why, but it was just fascinating for me to become a surgeon. And my first boss, you have to do residency for 2 years. My first boss was a maxillofacial surgeon, very good surgeon, super highly skilled, but also as a dentist, not so skilled. So he would just do the old school amalgam fillings, the black, ugly, nasty ones. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do this. Like within the first week, I told him, I'm not going to do this. I can't do it. It's non-aesthetic for me. I've learned composite fillings, which are white. I can do ceramics. Let me integrate this. So he initially was a little bit like, why is this little dude telling me stuff? But because I said this, I had to look deeper. And my dad is a dentist. Still wasn't interesting for me, but I knew he didn't do the amalgam fillings, these black fillings, for another reason, something with health, which I didn't learn in university. So I looked into amalgam fillings and a whole universe opened up for me, which was functional medicine, great German doctors actually, Dietrich Klinghardt, Joachim Mutter, who were informing about mercury in these fillings that are causing or a root source for problems when it comes to neurodegenerative disease and stuff. So I was just initially fascinated about this whole realm because it kind of like clicked to whatever I did with nutrition and supplementation beforehand. So I got just addicted, learned functional medicine, naturopathic doctor. Like I have a folder of certifications because I was just so much fascinated and interested about this health game that opened up to me that I didn't connect during the whole phase of university. But then I realized, oh wow, what I've learned the last 5 years, I can now implement and help my patients overall. So I started with mercury removal, so safe amalgam removal. I knew these fillings are super toxic. They contain 50% mercury, which is the most toxic non-radioactive element known to man. I was like, no way this is going to stay in my patients. So I told them, we have to change your nutrition. I put you on a detoxification program. I remove all these fillings safely. And then this will be the holy grail. It wasn't. So I realized very soon they all got sicker. They had other problems. So I learned more and more and more. And I realized it's not just the mercury fillings. They might have root canal treated teeth. They might have chronic inflammation in the jawbone, stuff that you didn't or you never learn in university. But I realized what was missing is I want to help a patient get healthy overall. So literally from the beginning, this was my calling. And then I just learned and traveled the whole world and got more and more and more and came up with this concept already in, I think my first, lately I found it, my first goal sheet, it was 2010, like still in residency. I wrote down, I'm going to have a center for some sort of, didn't call it health optimization. I wanted to have IVs running, vitamin C and all the things I was interested in. I wanted to remove everything safely and have an overall health approach to dentistry. It's 2010, now it's 2025. So 15 years later, I have the Blueprint Clinic in my hometown. I'm teaching worldwide for over a decade on how to change this. Had a lot of shitstorms, as you know. I was just an early trailblazer of something we call now biological dentistry. And now, being into this game for such a long time, I realize we have to have a standard now. Because if I tell you go see a biological dentist, it doesn't mean anything. It could just be someone having an amazing marketing, a perfect website, and read only my book and knows nothing about it. So suffering is, again, the patient. So right now my journey led me into building a real certification program, which I call Biodentistry 3.0. And the ones that come out are called Real Biodentists. And this is a journey, so it takes long. You need a ton of experience, also manually. You have to have this graph down and learn about nutrition, learn about supplementation. This is all in my online courses. And I'm very happy that I'm at this phase that I can. The goal is to have the impact to change the way how dentistry is done, literally, from the technician to the overall health expert, because I think that's needed. Why? We're living in an epidemic of chronic health issues, and the mouth is the neglected part. And oftentimes, previous dental repair or previous dental work is the trigger, because already they might have done the nutrition, have that on point, optimize their sleep, but this is the missing part. So speaking to millions of patients out there that are suffering and looking for something. So we need to have this change because dentistry is just outdated. It's not, what I'm doing is actually not against it. It's just the next level from material to the overall knowledge.
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
It's super cool. I remember a couple of years ago, I got my amalgam mercury fillings removed. Safely, yeah. Well, how confident are you that the benefits of removing them outweigh the risks? Because there are risks involved with getting them removed, are there not?
That's a very good question. Yes, there are. So there are high risks actually involved. So I've seen many patients that had all their health issues after removing these amalgam fillings in a not perfect way. Why? Because of course you wear them daily. You grind on them, you bite on them, you chew, you brush your teeth, you go to dental hygienist, and you release about 2 to 3 microns of mercury vapor. Yeah, that's coming out of this filling. Mercury vapor is see-through, you don't smell it, and it goes straight into your nucleus. There is no protective matter. So it's a daily little bit, right? But now imagine you just drill it out. There's a great reel on my Instagram where I show someone just drilling it out. You have tons of particles flooding your whole system. You have way more vapor, probably 100,000-fold. And this can trigger any sort of problems. Health problems in the long run. So if you have a mercury filling right now, those are the silver blackish fillings. Just open your mouth and look into it, right? You had it. The information I'm giving you is just be informed. Those contain mercury. It's chronically intoxicating yourself. But don't go just to any dentist and just remove them. High risk. You need to find someone who is skilled to remove them safely. And that's not just a rubber dam. It's more. It's a rubber dam. It is a special suction. We also have it's called an IQ Air. It's an air filter that is a huge tube that kind of like pulls 99.9% of all the vapor into this, which protects the patient, protects me as a dentist, also obviously my assistants, and more. We run IVs at the same time. We have the patients on a strong protocol for nutrition and supplementation. So it's at least 7 to 8-fold of stuff we're doing. And then I'm very confident that the exposure is minimized to, let's say, 1% or so. So it's not worse than wearing it on a daily basis. If you have this one, then go for it. But just for now, strategy is find someone who is either SMART certified. That's a specific certification in America from the IAOMT. So dentists that are SMART certified know how to remove that safely. They're not necessarily biological dentists the way I would like to have it, but they do this great. So you can go there. And the other part would be my certified real biodentist. They obviously know also how that works. But only do it then. Otherwise, just keep them and just take more binders and chlorella and things that will mitigate, I think, the daily exposure.
Well, here we're kind of getting into the oral brain axis. I mean, if you're saying that these vapors are leaking out, and we know that our gums are so highly vascularized, and like buccal absorption, I mean, you absorb things through your gums, right? And you're just chronically leaking out these, these highly toxic mercury vapors. I mean, it's like the mouth is like, in a way, the front door, or maybe the second front door, the back door to your brain. Your nose is like pretty high up there as well. Well, it's probably all one and the same. It's all
like
going
your eyes,
in.
your nose, and your mouth is the same. It's like directly connected to the brain of. It's actually not just it is totally the absorption through the gums is. It's like anything you can rub on your skin goes without protection, right? Straight into the cell. There's no liver in between that could like protect it. But also, if you have it on the tooth, like if you look at the tooth from a microscopic structure, you have these tubules, right? The dentin tubules. So the mercury can also go in these tubules and then go down into the big nerve, and the big nerve will just transport it retrograde into the brain. And also, obviously, on a daily basis, you breathe it in. Then again, it goes through the nose.
Yeah.
And there's studies showing, especially for dentists, like dentists should listen to this, and also the assistants. We don't have one toxic event like a patient maybe. We have like multiple a day maybe for years. That's what happened to me personally. I was thinking I could help all my patients with this approach. Didn't protect me. I was just, for the first 2 years, I was just intoxicating me extremely because I was pulling out all mercury fillings, protecting the patient, but not me. And I had like the highest mercury reading ever, like in my cell. It's insanely high.
Wow.
And I got autoimmune issues. I got extreme skin eczema, lots of stuff that were connected. So multifold how you get into your body. I personally think, why would you have something that is so toxic in your body? We have to remove it as a dentist as highly toxic waste. There's someone special coming in and take it away. So that was my initial thought process. Okay, I could never have this in a patient's mouth. Besides, it looks ugly. And that would be the other thing. Like, it's not even cosmetic. It like, looks like a filling, a black filling.
Wow. Well, it reminds me of, I mean, this is like a total, almost a non sequitur, but like seed oils, you know, and vegetable oils used in the restaurant setting have to be disposed of as essentially toxic waste, right? So you're thinking like, okay,
Exactly.
those oils have been fried to hell and back, and that's why they need to be, you know, removed by this, you know, special protocol. But it makes me think like, who was the person to get served the last dish, the last batch of fries cooked in that oil before they took it out back?
Exactly.
Right? So it's like if you're ingesting something regularly that needs that kind of care in order to be disposed of, otherwise it's just like a toxic soup, do you really want to be eating it? Exposing yourself to it?
No, I mean, that's just complete logic, right? But I don't even know how it is possible to put something like this in there. But this goes way back, obviously, like 200 to 300 years ago, when we didn't have other materials, and it was just easy and cheap to do. And then this carried on, like the insurances was just paying for mercury amalgam fillings, and they called it actually silver fillings, which is not allowed anymore since 2018, since this one convention, Miyamata. They were not allowed to call it silver anymore because there's almost no silver in it. It just looks silver. No, it's 50% mercury and there's more in it. There's tin in it. It's a huge alloy bunch and stuff. Like, you don't want to have this in your mouth. Definitely not. But also you don't want to have it just drilled out, right? This one we now have settled. And yeah, super toxic. There are way better alternatives. And studies showing, for example, dentists breathing in this on a daily basis, or they have the highest reading of mercury vapor or mercury in the pituitary, which leads to non-clear thinking. And you know what the pituitary brain does, like the axis, hormones, secretion, all these different things, but also clear thinking. There's another disease called Mad Hatter's disease. You can just Google it and look it up. The Mad Hatters are the guys that I think it was UK. They made these heads, and to seal those, the big heads, to seal those, they used mercury with the hands and seal around. They all got crazy. So that's Mad Hatter's disease. It's a typical medical condition. I think this happens a lot also to my colleagues over time because they're chronically exposing themselves, and then they tell you at the end, mercury, I don't have a problem with it. It's not an issue at all. So like, you literally lose the ability to think straight. It's not healthy to have it in your mouth. And funny enough, or not funny, like good that in 2025 in Europe, so since this year, January, it's banned. Finally. So mercury is banned environmentally. So it's not allowed in the environment, so it's not allowed in your mouth. But what they did, like in the newspaper, they didn't say it's toxic for you, it's unhealthy. They just said it's now going to be more expensive at the dentist. So that's how they kind of like spread the message. I get it. Why? Because obviously if they would tell you, hey, we have been doing something for 200 years, is super unhealthy and is connected to neurodegenerative disease and autoimmune disease and whatever chronic health issues, no one can pay for this. So
somebody's going to be held accountable.
Exactly. So that's why they just said it's going to be more expensive at the dentist because now you can't get the cheap amalgam filling anymore. And
wow,
it's crazy, but this is how it works. I mean,
unfortunately.
Yeah.
So assuming you've amassed some degree of mercury burden, you know?
Yes.
Like, are there ways of detoxing that mercury? I mean, because we're also exposed to mercury, right, in the food supply, like when eating certain fish, like large predatory fish, for example.
True.
Most of my life I had these, half of my life, roughly, I was being exposed to these mercury vapors. So what can one do?
So yeah, you're right. I think it's not possible to get air without mercury. It's just always a little bit of mercury. So I think the best strategy is detox your body on a daily basis, or modulate your own liver phase 1 and 2 to like really be able to have the nutrients to get rid of it and take binders. So 10 years ago, I learned once in a while, like let's say every quarter, you do a little bit of a detoxification with chlorella or some binders, like a mild version. Now, I would say 10 years later, you should do this every day, because it's not just the mercury. There's so much more chemicals in the environment. It's just exponential. So just using binders on a daily basis will be mitigating. But for what you're asking mainly is, you had these fillings, they were removed safely. Anything in your mouth is now good, healthy. Let's say we have no more root canals, because root canals oftentimes also contain a lot of mercury in them, and cavitations, we can touch later, like the silent inflammation also. So let's say we have the mouth perfectly fixed, and you come back to me for the crown work. Like say everything is healed, then would be the perfect timing to do a chelation. Chelation means we apply some sort of, let's say, medical detoxification remedies, for example, like calcium EDTA, or let's say even DMPS or DMSA, that get intravenously administered. That's really medical stuff. So what we usually do is it's called an urine challenge at the right timing. So basically pee, collect your urine, then run these IVs, and then collect your urine for 24 hours and get a precise reading of how high is your mercury. And if the mercury is high, it usually is, then it would be the right timing to do some sort of a real chelation therapy. This is way more extreme than any supplementation protocol. The most heavy metal detoxes that you read about are more orally with supplements. That's not the same. They are good too, but if you want to go higher, you need to do this medically. And then we would do this for, let's say, 6-8 weeks, measure again, and then maybe have a little break, and then do it more and more, depending on what you individually are presenting with. So I personally have to do this ongoingly because I'm a dentist, even though I do not drill out any mercury filling for the last probably almost 10 years. I'm only doing surgeries. I still have high readings. They're getting constantly lower and lower and lower. And whenever I did one, let's say, round of chelation, I feel so much better. Like, it's insane how much still changes. But it needs to be timed wisely. You never want to do a heavy metal chelation whilst you still have any sort of dental repair in your mouth. That is something I need to establish, because I see oftentimes, again, problems of patients that started with a chelation at the wrong timing. Because if you have, let's say, mercury is gone, but maybe you have a root canal or mercury in your jawbone, and then you start chelation, and what happens is you kind of like upregulating this, but the source is still there. So you have to remove the source first. Otherwise, it's like you're going into the shower and trying to rub yourself at the same time. Makes no sense.
Makes no sense.
But in this case, it's literally going to be like problematic for your health.
And then how do you support your liver's phase 1, phase 2 detox pathways?
Number one is probably just your nutrition. So we need protein and amino acids for liver phase 1 and mainly liver phase 2. Like liver phase 1 is the more, let's say, reactive version. Basically, the liver doesn't, just for the audience, the liver doesn't distinguish between the caffeine you eat, the food you eat, or the mercury, right? It just does its job. So number one is liver phase 1, packing the bag, like the trash, put it out there. But liver phase 2 is basically the truck that picks it up. But for many, many people out there, the truck's never coming. So they store all the highly reactive intermediates in their system, usually in the fatty tissue or in the connective tissue, oftentimes in legs, like women that have more body fat there. It's a protective manner of the body, where we store stuff. However, to optimize it, phase 1 is usually P450 enzymes, so vitamin C and lots of micronutrients help there. Liver phase 2, amino acid conjugation. So just have enough amino acids. It's also glucuronidation, so gluconate would be great. It is also sulfation in English. Sulfation is like more sulfate groups. Just MSM or something like that.
Or like sulfur-containing amino acids, sulfur-containing foods. I mean, you can
Definitely
smell
like
them, right?
methionine,
Broccoli,
like cysteine
cruciferous.
would be one, like NAC. Yeah, correct. Broccoli will help. Depends, yeah. But broccoli or cruciferous vegetables probably have a high sulfate content. So yeah, optimizing it always personally is nutrition first, and then fine-tuning with the right micronutrients. But for me, amino acids or protein, that is nutrition. Even though it might be a supplement, essential amino acids, for me it's just daily nutrition. And
also on top of that, making sure that you're, peeing regularly, you're staying hydrated, you're not constipated, you're pooping on a regular basis, you're sweating regularly, you're exercising.
Yes, totally. Exercising is amazing. Sauna, infrared sauna specifically, but also you should be on a protocol to bind stuff that comes out.
What might that look like?
The binder?
Yeah.
I would do is if you go to the sauna, let's say you have your 15, 20 minute infrared sauna, it does heat up from within, right? So, and the small intestine is a huge detoxification organ too, not just the liver. So stuff comes out, and ideally, before you even go there, let's say 30 minutes prior, you just take some binders. Could be activated charcoal. I personally use a lot of chlorella because chlorella is specific to mercury or, let's say, heavy metals that are usually used in dentistry. That would be chlorella. Chlorella, that being said, it's the job in nature for chlorella is to bind these toxins. So you have to find one that is unbound, that is clean. It's hard to find, but it's existing. It should usually be produced with sunlight to get the chlorophyll, but in glass, so that it doesn't be connected to the outside environment. Because otherwise it's just polluted. So most chlorella are actually polluted. I know this because I do have this, as you know. So yeah.
Wow, very interesting.
Super interesting. Chlorella is literally a superfood.
Is it algae? It's like algae.
It's an algae. It's a sweetwater algae, and it has extremely high sulfur compound, sulfur groups. Sorry about the English. And also chlorella has a full amino acid profile, which is rare in plant world, right? And it has 66%. So it's 66 grams of protein in 100 grams compared to meat. It's 3 times as much.
That's
you
very
could
high.
literally live from it. It also has chlorophyll in it, which is very great for your gut. It is antibacterial, antiviral, so it's kind of at the same time cleaning your whole system. It has, if it's vulgaris, it has a specific growth factor called chlorella growth factor, which activates everything. It also, like I said, has these binding capacities and the amino acids, and it also has all the minerals in the bioavailable active form. Even vitamins such as B vitamins are in the activated versions. There's folate in it, not like the methylated version. It's already in there, and the iron is in there, the magnesium is in there, all in the version that you need. You can literally eat this stuff.
Wow,
it's just true superfood.
They come in like little pellets, right? Like little tablets.
Yeah, usually 250 milligram tablets. Some have it in powder, but I like the tablets. You can just also use them as a crunch on top of whatever you eat. Tastes good.
Why am I thinking of spirulina? Is that the same thing?
No,
or
spirulina is a blue algae. It's more like a microorganism. Spirulina has great properties too, but not for detoxification. It's more for, let's say, specific nutrients in there.
Got it. So chlorella. Wow,
chlorella. And I personally like chlorella vulgaris, so with a V, vulgaris. And again, it needs to be just a clean version. Ideally, it's third-party tested. They can show you that there's no heavy metals in parts per million. Otherwise, it makes no sense. Because the sulfhydryl groups are already bound with whatever metal that is in the environment. And you want to have it in your system. And for chlorella, is better to take more. We want to have as much sponge in your intestines. So I would personally do about 15 tablets prior to, let's say, the sauna session.
That makes sense. Wow, I'm looking forward to trying that. So
it's so good.
Let's address the maybe there's a listener out there, a viewer, who's just long neglected their oral health.
Yes.
Written it off as something not as important as the health of their, the rest of the cardiovascular health. Even though we know now everything is connected. Where is one to begin in terms of turning the ship around?
First of all, realizing that the mouth is part of the body is already good. And then what I would do is maybe just start with a strong oral hygiene routine. That is the opposite to what we usually learn. It's go toxin free. So maybe we start with what the normal hygiene is. So normally you just take a normal toothpaste, which contains fluoride and various other chemicals, right? It's designed to disinfect. However, we just learned that the mouth is a huge ecosystem with tons of bacteria living and thriving in there. You actually do not want to disinfect them. It's the same as you don't want to disinfect your hand all the time because you have a microbiome on your skin too. So keep that microbiome alive. So conventional toothpaste is, not ideal. So what I would do is just start with something that is more natural and balancing to your oral microbiome. What I do not like to do is just go fluoride free is not a good strategy. Why? Because fluoride obviously has the effect of making your teeth harder. Unfortunately, not the way they should be. They become more brittle because fluoride is not the weak teeth are not a fluoride deficiency, right? It's not a fluoride deficiency.
Right.
So when you go off fluoride, you have to find another active ingredient that will support that enamel because you probably don't have the right nutrition. And this active ingredient is called hydroxyapatite. If you can find hydroxyapatite toothpaste, it's already a win. Yeah, just move from fluoride, which has a lot of side effects. We now know it lowers IQ in children, new studies. It is thyroid disrupting and various other things. And I think, the risks don't outweigh it.
Right.
So the trade-off is high.
The benefits don't outweigh the risks.
That's what I wanted to say. The benefits don't outweigh the risk. And also, you're supposed to use 1 pea size of toothpaste. That's what it usually says. And there's a warning sign on the toothpaste, right?
Yeah, if you swallowed by accident, call the Poison Control Center.
I think there is this the skull on it, right?
Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah.
And you put it into your mouth. Makes no sense. It's the same as the mercury toxicity discussion we had before, or like the Seedol thing. Why would you put something that is highly toxic in your mouth, right? Pea size. I know every single one. Also, in every advertisement, you have the brush and you completely fill the bristles with the toothpaste, right? Mm-hmm. That's already like 4 times the amount of a pea size shape. And then how can you control that you not swallow it, especially for your kids? It's almost impossible. So you're overdosing probably every day already because you're using it twice a day. Hard to control for myself, so I would never allow my kids to use like fluoride toothpaste. I mean, once in a while, it's not a problem. They won't die from it. But do this for their whole life. It's also connected to your pituitary, calcifies it. Just not a good strategy.
Well, it probably was at some point assumed that whatever is in your oral cavity is inert, right? But now we know that that's not, in fact, the case. That it's a highly vascular cavity.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're just absorbing stuff left and right. So.
Exactly. If you don't even swallow it, you're also absorbing it, right? Yeah, and then using too much. So it's just not a good idea. And I think there's just better alternatives. But just don't go with a fluoride-free toothpaste that is only based on essential oils. Why? Because then you actually lack the protective mechanism for your enamel. Because we first would need to establish your nutrition is on point. If your nutrition is on point, like we have all the nutrients we need and your teeth are hard as stone, probably the essential oils are fine. But I can't say this here because most listeners probably don't have this yet, right? So go with hydroxyapatite as an active ingredient. I wouldn't freak out about all the stuff in social media that nano hydroxyapatite is super bad for your health. I don't think so. We personally use micro hydroxyapatite in Europe in our toothpaste, but I think the nano is still fine, because it will get absorbed. Maybe also gets absorbed a little bit. So go with this as an active ingredient and just skip all the chemicals. You just don't need it. They're just not necessary. If you have this established, and then you can brush twice a day. So my toothpaste design, my ideal toothpaste design is obviously coconut oil base, hydroxyapatite. We also use lactoferrin, which is a super nutrient for gums. It's a protection, also gums and gut mucosa. So lactoferrin is a great one. We also use a specific probiotic strain. It's a Saliva germ, which is kind of like modulating to the system. It's like a police. It's not killing anything. It's literally modulating the thing. And it's on coconut oil base. There's a few essential oils in it. Basically, it's designed so you and your kids can eat it. That's the way it should be, right? And therefore, I actually brush my teeth now twice a day, which I didn't never do. And it also, usually a toothpaste, you want to spit out, right? It says spit it out. This one and rinse. And this one you can spit out, but you don't rinse. You want to have it sit on your teeth because then it gets absorbed and directly into your enamel and into your gums and protect it. So less sensitivities, less bleeding. I think this is the future, and it's also designed for adults and kids and safe. So my baby can eat it.
Yeah.
Right?
I was just going to ask you, do you think it's safe to say that your toothpaste should be potentially edible without causing adverse effects?
I think we actually say this on the toothpaste, that you can eat it. Yeah, you can literally eat it. No side effects. I cannot say this, but it's kind of like a supplement. Yeah, which it is.
Wow.
For your teeth.
And when it comes to, I'm excited to check that out.
I'll give you one.
Yeah?
Yeah. for sure.
I'm excited because I do use hydroxyapatite. To me, it was like a no-brainer because it's something that is innate to our bodies. Like it's a endogenous component of bone, right?
Yeah.
Hydroxyapatite, yeah.
I mean, hydroxyapatite is the enamel. That's it. Calcium hydroxyapatite. That's how it's built, and part of the bone too. Again, in my opinion, a no-brainer. I don't know why people don't think that way, but I think you go in every supermarket, right? Toothpaste is copy-paste from here to South Africa. It's always the same brands. I think they just got lazy. No one is challenging the system. But I feel now there is a shift, at least in our bubble, when it comes to overall health optimization. People are more and more informed. I think this is this outside trend that people are taking control and they don't trust systems anymore. So I think if we just reinvent and this is outdated, why can we not do it better?
Yeah.
And then just do it better? I think that's our obligation now. Just think smart.
Well, there's so many areas where, like look at our dietary guidelines or the recommendation for protein hasn't been updated in decades, right? And there's all this research now coming out showing us how valuable protein is, not just from the standpoint of our health, because protein makes up our bodies. Every structure in our bodies we owe to the amino acids, the 9 essential amino acids that we ingest. But it's also really important for staving off hunger. And we're in the midst of an obesity epidemic. And yet, the guidelines for protein consumption haven't been updated in decades. So it's the same thing. It's like, people are using the same toothpaste that was formulated 50 years ago, if not more. And it's like,
exactly.
We should always constantly be reassessing, right? Science always reserves the right to change. So we just have to be willing to change.
I think science is actually not the research, right? Science is finding new ways that haven't been, traveled yet. So finding new ways, and then obviously research always comes last. That's when we agreed on now is working, right? It takes a while, but it needs people that think outside the box, challenge systems. Just, I think for yourself, actually. Why would you put something in your mouth that is highly toxic? Just makes no sense.
Yeah.
And then obviously we have to find the alternatives that work. So it took me a while to create this toothpaste. It's not there in the US yet, but I think in September, October, we're going to have it for America too, because it's just needed.
Is it just in Germany at this point? Or
right now it's only in Europe, but we're working on it already. So I already sampled it. So it's going to be there soon for America.
Well, I'm going to be at the end of September, early October. I'm going to be in London and Copenhagen. So I'm super excited. Maybe you can find a way to get some sent to my hotel.
Definitely.
Super pumped about that. Okay, so brushing, you've cleared up a lot of confusion about what toothpastes to look out for. I'm actually really impressed because, obviously I haven't tried yours yet, as I've mentioned, but I do see a lot of options now sprouting up that do use hydroxyapatite and, other additive, non-active ingredients that are super friendly, seemingly, to the oral microbiome. There's like a bunch of different brands on the market, which to me is like really auspicious.
That's great, but I think there's only in our bubble. If you go in the supermarket, you won't find it. Last year, I went through all the health food supermarkets, even Sprouts, Whole Foods, where you think you can find this, right? Literally, there's no hydroxyapatite toothpaste. You can only find it online, and then you have to know the brand names. So for the general audience, is literally not available to buy in a store. I think this needs to change.
What if somebody does have access to a toothpaste without fluoride, but it doesn't have hydroxyapatite? Like it's just one of these, I'll just throw a brand out there. I have no affiliation, but Tom's of Maine is very commonly available in the United States, and it doesn't have either fluoride or hydroxyapatite. It might have a mild abrasive. Is that better than using a fluoridated toothpaste?
It's hard to, I would have said, years ago, I would have said, yes, go for it, way better. However, realizing that most guests or patients out there are not so far advanced when it comes to their nutrition, I think it's not a good strategy to just go that way. Because, like I said, the fluoride still gives you the protection. And I get a lot of questions on my Instagram and DMs from moms. It's like, I went fluoride free and my kid has all the tooth decay now. I'm like, oh shit.
Interesting.
And then I ask a couple of questions. I ask okay, how is the vitamin D3 status of your kid? Is it taking vitamin D3 and K2 every single day? No. Does it avoid gluten? No. Eats normal food? Yes. Okay. Then you shouldn't do it. This is how the oral hygiene that we use right now, the standard, is designed as a Band-Aid, I think, for the wrong lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it wasn't changed, or it wasn't challenged for the last 60 years probably, ever since probably World War II. And that's when it all started, right? Same with the nutrition.
I'm so glad that you brought up that it's such an important nuance, that often gets lost when people focus on the granular. Right? When people when people major in the minors, like I'm not saying that picking a non-fluoridated toothpaste is a minor, but it is relative to healthy diet, right?
This is a great topic. Majoring in the minor, this is something that goes on my nerves on social media because it's all out of context. So I have people flying in or telling me, there is seed oil in your supplement and there is xylitol and xylitol is so bad. And I'm like, wait a second. Yes, seed oil, if you do it in grams and or fried stuff, is like 10, 15 plus grams. I agree. But there is maybe a milligram in there. It doesn't matter. Same for xylitol. So xylitol, with all these health foods, oftentimes in the keto or paleo world, they try to avoid sugar, but they want to still make it sweet. So they use sugar alcohols or, for example, xylitol or erythritol or stuff like this. Xylitol or stevia are strong antimicrobials in medicine, right? So xylitol in the mouth, in the toothpaste, like milligrams, are amazing because they kind of kill the bad bugs, if you can say so. I don't think there are any bad bugs anyways, but let's say the mutants will eat it and blow it up. It's kind of like a Trojan horse to them. So it's quite okay in the mouth. There's good studies. However, using 10, 15 grams of xylitol in a paleo bar can kill your microbiome in your gut. And then you maybe have loose stools and have problems there. So agree. But it's, again, depending on dosage and amount. So you don't freak out if the vitamin D3 is on a tiny little bit of maltodextrin as a substance with it. Like 0.05 milligrams of maltodextrin is not a problem. 100 grams might be a problem. Might be ideal for bodybuilder post-workout, but not for the general audience. You see, it's all in the nuances, but it's hard to display this on social media, especially in reels and stuff, in shorts.
Exactly.
It always come out wrong.
It reminds me of the kerfluffle that surrounded Element, the electrolyte brand Element, because allegedly, I haven't vetted this, I don't know this to be true for myself, but allegedly, and this is a brand that I work with, and I take Element every day. I feel better when I take it. Apparently, the natural flavors are sort of hitched to milligrams of, or if not micrograms of maltodextrin.
This is normal.
It's normal.
Yeah.
And we're talking about a glucose polymer in the milligram dosage, which is like nothing in the grand scheme of one's diet.
But this is exactly what happens if people become more and more fascinated about health and listen to all the health gurus. I think they lack foundational knowledge and then just jump on, it's all bad. Like fruit is all bad. Maltodextrin, all bad. But again, it's probably literally micrograms and it's normal. Like it's not even existing without. And with my company, we're so open to discuss. We even in parentheses tell you there is maltodextrin, which you don't need to do, but we do this. And this can backfire. It's like, why would you use maltodextrin? I'm like, I'm just openly communicating what is in there, to be fair.
I used to supplement with maltodextrin, but in the range of 75 to 100 grams.
Exactly.
Post-workout.
I did back in the day when I was bulking. I had to eat 8,000 calories in one day, and I couldn't do it with food only. So I was drinking maltodextrin 3 times a day, up to 400 grams. It definitely helped bulking.
And why do bodybuilders do that? Because it's very effective at reglycogenating your skeletal muscle.
It's just super fast. I think the passing through the intestines is at least probably 4 times as fast as normal sugar, right?
Yeah.
It's something to do with the molecular weight or something. There's even more extreme things like Vitalgo, and they go crazy on these things.
Yeah, it's wild.
But it's cool. I mean,
are you, as a dentist, a fan of gum? There were studies recently, headlines made when it was revealed or it was found that gums, like gum, harbors microplastics. Like a lot of gum bases used in traditional gums are made using
chewing gums?
Yeah, chewing gum.
Yeah, that's probably correct. And also, again, this is the same thing. Like the normal, can I say names like the Wrigley's and the normal things? If you read
the legacy brands.
The legacy brands, they taste super good and they work.
Yeah.
Don't worry, they literally work. They feel good you can chew on them 50 minutes, they're still good, right? However, if you read through what is all in there, again, it's like a chemical mixture of tons of things that you shouldn't do on a daily basis, right? And there's also, usually they're white, and white is titanium dioxide, and titanium dioxide is, again, an immune disruptor. So would I chew a Wrigley sometimes? Yeah, why not? Would I do it every day? Probably not. So I tried all the alternative brands. They just don't work. Problem is, have you ever tested the natural gums? Like within a minute, they don't taste anymore. They get like weird.
Yeah.
It's hard to find something as a good alternative.
Yeah, it
But
upsets my stomach too, like natural gums for whatever, or gum, maybe gum in general. But
gum in general
Yeah.
could be also if there's xylitol in it. If it's too much again, like you shouldn't probably use a gum all day long. It's fine to use a gum from here and there. Like if it contains xylitol and it's natural, it's actually activating to saliva production. So it might be good if you have a dry mouth. But again, it's all dose dependent, like the nicotine we talked about before.
Yeah.
It's dose dependent. Would you do 10, 15, 20, 30 milligrams of nicotine a day? Probably not, right?
Yeah, right.
Will you use a pouch 3 milligram before a show? Maybe.
I use them, yeah. I've been pretty open about the fact that I dabble with like very low dose nicotine. One, I get these pouches from a company called, well, there's two. There's Knick Knacks. I have no affiliation with either. Knick Knack Naturals and Athletic Nicotine. And Athletic makes like a pouch. It's 1.5 milligrams. And I find it to be a great, I'm not saying that nicotine's healthy at all. I'm not saying you should start using it if you don't already. The FDA recently approved pouches as a good, smoking cessation tool. But as a cognitive booster, I find them to be really useful.
Yeah, you showed me this exactly a year ago, and I bought a couple of these, also not affiliated. So I use it so sparingly. Even a year later, I still have like probably 3 full boxes, and there's 15 in one. I use it, for example, sometimes if I know there's a long surgery where I have to be like sharp 3 to 5 plus hours. I love to have this because it gives you this little bit of, it's just precise.
Yeah.
It feels like a little bit more precise.
Totally.
It's just 3 milligrams I have. I didn't know that there's 1.5 milligram existence. But I think nicotine, again, is a we produce it ourselves in the body, right? It's a natural substance to the body.
I didn't know that we produced it, but
Yeah, there's nicotine receptors and everything, yeah.
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 Well, it's naturally also found in nightshade plants. So
Yes, exactly.
tobacco is a nightshade plant, but so is eggplant or aubergine, I think they call it overseas.
Yeah, eggplant, aubergine, it's even high. I think highest nicotine is probably eggplant, bell peppers, potatoes, just white potatoes is a nightshade. Some people have problems with nightshades. Maybe it's because of the nicotine. I mean, nicotine has, let's say, historically been used, let's say, in Peru or for smoking tobacco.
Yeah.
But pure tobacco has nothing to do with cigarettes, right? The problem with the cigarettes is all the additives they put in. Like pure tobacco, the way I learned it in medicine, is antiparasitic, antiviral, and has strong healing properties. Again, I think it's dose dependent. I wouldn't recommend smoking tobacco all day long unless I'm like a shaman, maybe.
Yeah.
Then it might be good to activate something. But this is, again,
That'd be a
nuanced.
fun side hustle.
I think there's not the nicotine necessarily that is problematic. Maybe it's also been shown in study that it's not addictive, really. I think it's more the other things in cigarettes. I think they are able to at least put 200 to 300 different chemicals into normal cigarettes. So I wouldn't smoke cigarettes at all.
Definitely not. No
Definitely
way.
not.
Increases your risk for cardiovascular disease, lung cancer,
It's also-
Alzheimer's disease.
Also contraindicative for any sort of oral surgery because it constricts vessels, less bleeding, less healing. Not good. Also connected to periodontitis. So smoking definitely, don't do this.
Well, nicotine in and of itself is vasoconstrictive. So from
It
a
is.
cardiovascular standpoint, it's not good. I don't think that nicotine is good for you, but I do think it has there are cognitive benefits, if you even want to call them that. There's a cognitive upside to low dose nicotine.
Yeah, I think.
Similarly with any substance, yeah, the dose makes the poison,
Exactly.
and there are diminishing returns even with caffeine.
True.
And caffeine has a very long half-life. It can mess up your sleep. But I know that if you have a long road trip or you're a shift worker, nicotine can potentially be useful as a stimulant. It's got a much shorter half-life than caffeine. And yeah, if it helps you focus, be better at what it is that you're, at your job, then maybe it's worth looking into responsibly.
Exactly. That's all about. Like, just be responsible with it and use it strategically, maybe. And if you have are an addictive person, some people are just more addicted to stuff, be wary about it. That if you use like 3, 4, 5 pouches a day, it's probably not the smartest idea.
No, tread lightly. I mean, there are so many stories of, this is definitely a bit of a tangent, but yeah, so many stories of people online who, going back to the health influencer thing, like the health guru, have heard that nicotine is like this great thing. It's healthy. I would never call it healthy, that it lowers risk of Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson. None of that is really firmly established. It's all just like very tenuous observational research at this point, but people will hear on social media that nicotine is like good for you, and then they what started as just a trying it out becomes a full-blown addiction, and that's not good.
And then they think more is better, right?
And then they think more is better, yeah.
That's again, I think this is the difficulty with social media and everyone becoming a health influencer and a health guru. Or I can see this as I think it's overall it's great that there is this health movement out there. It's great because we become more empowered, we think more, and patients are looking for experts. But also at the same time, there's many without foundational experience with patients that then become coaches and stuff. Could be problematic. I've seen it all. And I'm not saying that being a coach is bad or anything. It's just a little bit risky right now. Because you cannot just skim through or just use ChatGPT or skim through social media and then write a book about it. I mean, it's possible, but it doesn't give you any experience.
Possible, but not advisable.
Exactly. You know that, what's the saying? Knowledge is power, I think, but execution beats knowledge all the time. So it comes from the experience. I've read a ton of things, but if I would have not tried it out or tested time-wise with like 15 years of experience with working with thousands of people and only with myself, I would have zero experience. It's like only me, like n equals 1 versus n equals 1,000 gives you a little bit more nuance, and okay, for this person might be a good idea to use this right now strategically. Same with everything.
Yeah.
You need
I've taken like a gentle step back from social media. I still use it, but I find it so much more responsible to talk about these kinds of topics on the podcast as opposed to on my Instagram stories, for example, where it's difficult, if not impossible, to convey nuance. People just like catch a story here and there. They might see an out of context soundbite, and you forget that there are people on the other side of the screen, that don't have the kind of education that you have, the experience that you have, and could potentially interpret what you're saying in a way that's harmful.
Exactly, especially also in the stuff I'm doing. Obviously, also social media is oftentimes the way it's designed it's clickbait, is going viral. So sometimes completely out of context snippets will be one 90-second reel. And then what you need to do, like as the audience, is find the source. Maybe listen to the complete interview instead of just commenting on this one reel that is completely out of context just for social medias. But this also happens with my professional followers. Yeah, like I have changing dentistry or trailblazing different things or just change in itself is always hard to swallow for a lot of people. So I had a lot of adversity at the beginning, and still. But I think now, for example, when I wrote my book or when it came out 2019. Shitstorm nationally was insane. Literally every professor in university would write something against it, which was okay. But now it's 7 years later, and because of our work, practically 50% of this stuff is medical guideline. So it completely flipped. So now I think, even though biological dentistry has not yet a standard, I'm working on it, the future is going to be this way because research is finally catching up because of people that go the new mile and look for new alternatives, new science. And that's not the research. And obviously, I'm going to continue to do this. I'm just interested in new things. I would never say what I do is correct and the best thing. I would always look for more and see what can we iterate, how can we make it even better? Because the ideal scenario is you would never need a dentist in the first place because we start young. We start preparing the moms before pregnancy, have the right nutrition, be a super mom during pregnancy because that baby will use a ton of your nutrients. Oftentimes, moms report, I lost this tooth through a root canal during my pregnancy. Why? Because they probably went into pregnancy depleted, and then the priority during pregnancy is obviously not the mom, it's obviously the baby. So mom gets more depleted. So if you do this up front and then teach breastfeeding and all these different things, you probably don't even need braces later on, and definitely no tooth decay. It's literally just lifestyle changes, but it's education. We just need to educate. And there's nothing you learn as a dentist in university, nothing from it. That's how we literally need to change. But this will take a while. Right now is we have to repair what has been repaired more in a more healthy biomaterial way so that it doesn't cause any disturbance in your body. Let's say the typical 40 to 65-year-old guest has a lot of previous dental repair. How can we do this in a more neutral way? But then, obviously, my kids in this generation should never see a dentist for repair. That's the goal. But it takes a while.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on flossing?
That's, again, like flossing. Obviously, in nature, you wouldn't floss. You probably would use a stick or something if there's anything stuck. Again, there's nuance, because if you had previous dental repair, like you had a filling, just one filling or one crown or anything in your mouth, your teeth will probably not be as interconnected as they were naturally. Maybe you also lost a little bit of the gum in between, so there's an opening. So I would say if you had any sort of dental repair in the past, you probably need to floss, because it's just not natural anymore. So you need an unnatural tool to clean. I personally don't need to floss. I have no tooth decay. I never had a filling. My teeth are quite close together. Nutrition is quite on point. And there's rarely something gets stuck. If something gets stuck, I would use a floss, but not on a daily basis. But that's just me. So for most people listening, use the floss. Be gentle with it. Maybe better options are, I don't know how you call it in English, there's these little hooks with a tiny floss in between, where you can go more gentle in between instead of just using the floss and rip it through.
The problem with that often is that
how you call those?
Well, in between, they're like little floss sticks. Yeah, what are they called? I don't know. But the issue is that oftentimes it's dental tape that can be made using PFAS.
Totally
These
correct.
potentially endocrine disrupting chemicals.
Again, this would be the same thing before. The general supermarket aisle has PFAS in even BPAs probably in the tooth floss. So what I would go, if you want to use a floss, do it. It's fine.
Use floss, not tape. And definitely not the Glide.
Not the Glide, not this one. And maybe find a natural one, like made out of coconut fiber or pineapple fiber. It's existing. You can find it. And also, the main thing before you think about the PFAs is the way you use it. So oftentimes what I see is that people are not as gentle, so they just yank it through and then it bleeds afterwards, because these tiny flosses, they could just cut into your gum. And what do you cause then? Leaky gum. We definitely want to avoid this, because you don't want to cut your skin all the time, right? You know that bacteria will jump in and cause inflammation. The same in your mouth. However, in the mouth, this microbiome is super diversified, 700 different species. And if you have the wrong ones there, they will then jump in and then cause a myriad of symptoms in your whole body, like in the brain, in your joints. They jump everywhere. The gum is literally, the gum and the gut mucosa is literally outside body. The tube from here to there is outside. Even though it's in your body, it's outside. It's kind of like reverse folded, or however you want to say it in English.
Yeah, it's your largest interface with the environment, even though it's technically like in your body. It's what's in your alimentary canal is not yet in your, like you could pass it. Like it's not actually inside of you.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It needs to be absorbed first, the stuff.
Yeah.
So if you cut it open in your mouth, you have the opening. And yeah, I mean, bleeding gums, called gingivitis in dentistry, or if you have inflammation below the gums, it's already in the body. It's called periodontitis. It's when the bone gets infected and goes away, so you get loose teeth. And this is, again, connected to specific germs, the bad guys. If they are overrepresented, let's say this way, PG, for example, Porphyronas gingivalis or Streptococcus mutans, but PG specifically, if it goes into the system and into your brain, it can cause microglial activation, brain inflammation. PG has specific enzyme called gingipains, which is toxic to neurons. So literally connected, you can find that online. It's literally connected to Alzheimer's disease and buildup of amyloid plaque. So that would be the oral brain connection right there, right from the start. But there's also studies showing, remember COVID, like we knew it's lurking in your mouth, right? Before it's getting activated. About 7 days was like the time it was in the mouth. For some people, they had these cytokine storms, right? And there is studies showing that people with leaky gum had this virus jump into the system faster, which is completely logic, right? And this is how important the oral mucosa, the oral barrier is. It's kind of like the entrance hall to the whole system, to the hotel. It's the hotel lobby. So it's really important. Well, also you can find this PG in joints causing RA, rheumatoid arthritis. Lots of patients have this. So
there's oral bacteria, this oral pathogen.
It's weird to say it's PG, Porphyronas gingivalis. It's directly linked to rheumatoid arthritis. It's also linked to Alzheimer's. It's also linked to heart problems. It's literally not good. The thing is, PG is generally in everybody's mouth. It's just normal. It's not a bad guy. The problem is if it's overrepresented. It's too much PG there because of your lifestyle, because of previous dental repair, because of tiny little houses they build in there. So it's literally important to not kill too much. It's more important to modulate this ecosystem, like balance it. And this goes back to remove the previous dental repair in a safe way. Use biomaterials that help your body thrive instead of metals, for example. Like we do implants out of ceramic. And then the nutrition, and then, basically make the gum barrier tight again and get rid of this inflammation. So if you have any sort of bleeding gums, that's a telltale warning sign. Red flag straight away. Bleeding gums is not normal. It's normal, not healthy. It shouldn't be there. Bleeding gums is literally the entrance for bacteria to jump into your brain, your joints, everything.
Well, why do most dentists say that flossing prevents bleeding gums? Like, don't they? Do they not? Like, if you floss and your gums bleed, isn't that a sign that you're not flossing enough? Isn't that what they often say?
It's again nuanced. Yeah, it's correct. If you're very gentle with flossing and you have a lot of processed food stuck in between your teeth that cause an irritation of the gum tissue and maybe even the wrong bacteria sitting in there, the flossing will help. It's literally correct that if you have bleeding gums, you should brush more and floss more because it helps the gums. However, a normal, healthy mouth, there is no bleeding. There's nothing in this. Like my gums are rather light pinkish than red. So if they're red and swollen, that's an inflammation. And then again, the brushing and the flossing will only be a Band-Aid. Does it make sense what I'm saying? So it's again in the nuance.
Yeah.
How you are going to use it. But if I personally, with no bleeding, just use the floss and I'm not careful and snap it through, then I have leaky gum just by cutting it. So that's the nuance here. You can use flossing if you do very precisely, and you maybe must do it. But all naturally, coming back to Paul Saladino, for example, if you're super ancestral living and everything is beautiful and healthy the way it should be, you probably don't need it unless something gets stuck.
Yeah, bro doesn't use any toothpaste. He just uses a brush, scrapes the fur off his teeth.
Exactly. He probably doesn't even have fur on his teeth. The way he eats, eating just animal protein and natural stuff, usually the teeth are actually clean. So if you chew on meats, your teeth will be clean. If you eat an apple, your teeth will be clean. Test it. Eat a raw apple, you have no fur on it. Drink a Coke, you have fur on it. Eat rice, you have probably some fur on it. So it's literally, eat a raw carrot, your teeth are clean. So I think naturally derived foods or real food, whole foods, are usually cleaning to your teeth. So, and also obviously is the substrate to give the right microbiome, thrive the right microbiome instead of feeding the wrong one. If I can say wrong, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The wrong guys.
Well, it's
all about substrate, right?
Exactly. And we don't it's not like we know what an unhealthy or a healthy gut microbiome looks like, but there's signs, there are correlations, there's...
there are correlations, yes, and also you can smell it. Like, you can, as a dentist, you can literally smell if there's a bad oral microbiome. I have like a radar for this, like 30 minutes against the wind. If someone has perio, it smells so bad. It's like moldy and very like a distinct smell. Maybe it's just a dental thing. I know exactly how it smells. It's so bad. It smells like sewer.
Wow.
That's if you have a lot of... So perio is the abbreviation of periodontitis. It literally smells bad.
Do you...
Really bad.
Well, this is interesting. Would you deliberately take a sniff?
Yeah, probably.
As part of your diagnostic toolkit?
It's probably subconsciously automatic.
Wow.
I probably, even if I see you, I just do this automatically.
Some people just have like chronically stank breath. It's not necessarily like halitosis, but it's like it smells stale and like...
So there's literally different smells to it. But yeah, definitely, it all depends again. It's like if you wake up in the morning, you probably have a bad smell. It's just normal because overnight you have some buildup and...
On your tongue, yeah.
Yeah, it's just normal to smell a bit bad. Or if you drink essential amino acids, your mouth will stink like fart. That's just normal.
Essential amino acids?
Yeah, it's just normal.
Interesting.
They're usually covered by, let's say, artificial sweeteners and stuff. But yeah, amino acids in the pure form... They just stink. It's kind of like if you have a fish or a little bit of steak in your bin. When it rots a little bit, it tastes weird, right? It smells weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just normal. It's just the way they are. They're a little bit more bitter, and they just give a bad breath to it. Also, you know that if you're eating keto diets for a long time, you have a specific, I don't know, it's a more sharp breath. It smells a bit like acetone.
Yeah.
I think it's actually what comes out.
Yeah.
Kind of like nail polish stuff. Chemical smell, very bad. Shows me personally is not the right strategy for your body. Ideally, if you have your oral hygiene, because we are living in a world where hygiene is normal. I think if we wouldn't use any hygiene, just live ancestrally, no one would smell that real little bit of smell, right? But if we have the hygiene and your nutrition is on point, you never have a bad smell. And also, obviously, there are strategies to help with this. It's definitely not the chemical mouthwash you're using. Chemical mouthwash, the Listerine, all these, the blue they are, again, designed to clean floor, right? You can find that. And they nuke your oral microbiome. And I think in the long run, they make your smell taste worse in the long run because it kills your microbiome. And you need your microbiome for a good smell, right? Microbiome is very important for smell. So what you could do instead is oil pulling. Just use coconut oil and take a teaspoon, a tiny one teaspoon. The only thing is you have to do it. Like put it in your mouth, swish around for 5 minutes at least to 15. Do this daily and you have complete different breath. And you have a complete different sensation of your gums and your teeth. They're just cleaner. It's not a substitute for brushing. Still brush. I mean, if you're super healthy, maybe you can go the Paul way and just use the brush or the bristle like we did. I have a reel of this where there's like an ancestral dude sitting there with the bristle, with like literally the stick. It's called a miswak. That's how we brushed our teeth, just a stick. And it works, guaranteed, if your nutrition and lifestyle is the way it's supposed to be. I cannot say this out loud because for most people it isn't.
Right.
So don't use the miswak if you don't have this all dialed in.
Huh. Man,
nuance,
so interesting. Yeah, and the breath thing, it's like we've evolved to be social animals. We're social creatures. If your breath is so stank that you're warding off,
True.
Like others in the tribe, it's gonna inhibit potential mating opportunities. Like that is a major check engine light.
True, 100%. But I think if you, like you just said, look at the animals you have, like your cat. If you go close and if they, the smell is usually not the way we like it, right? An animal breath or a dog breath.
I mean, my cat has the sweetest breath. I love it.
It does?
Yeah, it's so cute. She's so cute.
She's really cute.
Yeah, and I've started putting this. She will not let me brush her teeth, but I feed her a really healthful diet. But she gets she doesn't really get dental decay, but she does get in pets and cats. It's called tooth resorption. I don't know if we have that in if we have that. Yeah, resorptive lesions, I think they're called in cats. It's like this very painful thing. It's thought to be genetic. It's not due to diet or anything like that. So occasionally she'll have to get a tooth pulled, and
it could be more like an erosion that could probably be from acidity, because obviously they only eat meat usually. I think you feed your cat only meat. It shouldn't eat grains, for example.
No, she doesn't eat grains. She eats a very biologically appropriate diet. But I've started putting this. I found this I don't know, if it's ideal or if it's not, but it's this water additive that promises to at least be better than nothing. Cats don't have, apparently, I asked ChatGPT this. I don't know, empirically whether or not it's true, but apparently they don't have the same nitric oxide oral pathway that we have. So I was kind of nervous about that because I know about the link between regularly swishing with antiseptic mouthwash in humans and a potential increased risk for hypertension, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, which I mentioned. But I don't think that they have the same sort of, there's that same sort of oral microbiome, nitric oxide connection.
I think they have a complete different microbiome.
Yeah.
They're usually carnivores, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's different.
Exactly. Dr. Dom, this was so fun.
Yeah.
As always, yeah. Having you into such a blast. I learned so much. It's so great. I'm sure my audience super appreciates your, all of the wisdom that you've shared. But yeah, I think this is a good place to wrap up. Remind my listeners where they can connect with you on social media, how they can support your work. I know you have a book out. So yeah, where can they pick up all the things?
Thanks. So the easiest is always Instagram. There should be a link tree to everything. Also, you can go to Dr. Dome Official. You find my clinic. It's the anesthetics in Germany. The blueprint for the Biodentistry Global Standard. That's what I designed. And then, the book, it's all in your mouth. You could find it. Yeah, I think you find it all there and maybe in your show notes.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Thanks for having me, man.
Of course, brother.
It was great.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming out. Also, I know you don't live in the U.S. You live, over there, and you're still in Germany, right?
I'm still in Germany.
Love it. Cool, man. Well, thanks for coming out. Thank you guys for listening. Share this episode with friends and loved ones that may benefit from it. And I'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.
Peace.
Hey, if you liked that video, you need to check out this one here, and I'll see you there.